Namaskar, my dear friends. In the series Upanishadic stories, this is the story of sage Bhrigu. This story is from Taittiriya Upanishad of Krishna Yajurveda. Whoever is conversant with Vedic literature will frequently hear of the twin deities of Mitra and Varuna, the one presiding over the day and the other over the night. As is the custom now, in those days also people named their children after the deities whom they honored. That's how there came to be an in olden days a great sage known as Varuna. He was well versed in the Vedas. His reputation for scholarship and spiritual insight had spread far and wide, as though in response to his prayer, heavens have heavens had blessed him with a large concourse of brahmacharis who came to him to be initiated in the knowledge of the absolute. Well, maybe imagine how picturesque and beautiful his hermitage was. The Tapovana, the Tapovana was not a retreat, it was a sanctuary. Even the lower animals felt their kinship and humanism as all life was held sacred within the precincts of the ashrams. All kinds of birds, noted for the beauty of their plumage or the melody of their voice, flocked thither. The denizens of the forest wandered fearlessly. Even the fish in the river, unafraid of the net and the trap, would gather round the brahmacharis in expectation of expectation of verified truth and poetry mingled here for it with dedicated to the pursuit of the supreme truth of Brahma. तीन This says Varuna had a son named Bhrigu. He was, as was befitting, as learned in the Vedas as his father himself. But he still felt some hidden want, for he had not yet attained that peace of mind which comes with the knowledge of Brahma. One day he approached his father and said to him, Adi hi Bhagwan Brahma, which is the formal way of which is the formal way of requesting a spiritual preceptor when disciple seeks initiation. Varuna was pleased. It was easy for him to give a ready-made conclusion, but he did not wish to deprive his son of the thrill of discovery and of the conviction that comes in the wake of a felt experience like a scientist working in a laboratory with various precision instruments around him. Varuna was working in the laboratory of life with the perfected faculties of man as his precision instruments. He therefore said to him, "You have the material environment around you and the organs of sense perception and the mind and intellect with you. Make use of them, perfect them, unify your faculties, and when you have attained perfect coordination of body and mind, direct all your faculties towards the awareness of the Absolute. This is called tapasya. Come and tell me what discovery you make in order that your quest might be fruitful. I will clarify your problem for you and give you the proper direction. Find that in which all life begins is continued and ended, and know that to be Brahma." In order to realize the oneness of the self with the absolute of Atma with Brahma, the meaning of the expression Tattvam Asi, thou art that, should be fully understood. This is possible only when the sense of discrimination is awakened. Discrimination shows us that the Indriyas are not the self. The light of the self shines through them like the light in a pot through its many holes. Without this conscious witness who is other than the body, no amount of endeavor on the part of the body would be fruitful. One knows the significance of the expression Tavam thou when one knows oneself as the witnessing consciousness. All life is finally withdrawn into it. That is the distinctive characteristic of Tattva. Like a modern scientist who makes use of what is called the heuristic method, Bhrigu set out on his grand adventure. After prolonged tapasya, he came to the conclusion that Brahma is matter, for all objects arise out of matter, are sustained by it, and finally at death change into other forms of matter. And what is man but the quintessence of dust? When he announced his discovery to his father, he was neither pleased nor displeased. In order to encourage his son, he said, "Keep on along the path of discrimination for tapasya in Brahma." Thus exhorted, Bhrigu re-examined his conclusion. He then recognized that as a matter is itself subject to change and dissolution, it cannot be called final. He then turned his attention to something more subtle than gross matter. He then hit upon the idea that prana, the vital breath, may itself be Brahma. Varuna knew that a good man who strives can never be lost. He therefore allowed Bhrigu to re-examine his fundamentals, for honest doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Bhrigu rejected his hypothesis. He realized that whatever has a beginning must also have an end, and therefore they cannot be the absolute. And as indicated by his father, he made his body and mind one pointed and concentrated on Brahma in order to realize that which he was seeking. On further investigation, he came to the conclusion that the vital breath as vital breath is itself Dharma, if only because it differentiates the living from the dead. Although he was proceeding along the right direction from the gross to the subtle, it was not the end of the journey, but it was also open to the same objection because energy also is subject to change and therefore cannot be Dharma, which is eternal and of the nature of pure consciousness. In the case of Bhrigu, it literally proved true that failures are the stepping stones to success. As he was exhorted by his father to persevere in the same method of investigation, he continued to practice tapasya and wait for the moment of inspiration. He identified he identified Dharma with the mind, but he had to reject that hypothesis because the mind is not sure of Dharma. It is true that mind moves matter. It is also true that thoughts are more real than living man. But no one can say with certainty whether we are because we think or whether we think because we are. Bhrigu then felt that he had almost attained the goal when he identified Brahma with Vijnana. He was, as it were, on the threshold of a grand discovery. Vijnana implies intelligence endowed with the power of perseverance, diligence, energy, and constancy, but it includes all the feelings of joy and sorrow. Therefore, it is not possible to identify Brahma with any kind of grief, for there is nothing that is lacking in Brahma, nor does the sense of bliss in Brahma proceed from the possession of external objects. Brahma is bliss itself. Thus, by a continuous process of negation, he arrived at the grand affirmation that Brahma is truth, knowledge, bliss absolute. Where there is no truth, there is neither knowledge nor bliss, and where there is no knowledge, there is neither truth nor bliss, and where there is no bliss, there is neither truth nor knowledge, as any one of these implies the existence of the other two in their plenitude. He announced to his father that he has found out that Brahma is bliss. But still, as Brahma is not something that is external to us and cannot therefore become the object of knowledge, he stated his conclusion without any egocentric feeling by declaring that all beings have their origin in bliss, are sustained by bliss, and are finally withdrawn into bliss. The sense of peace that he felt within himself was the guarantee that he had left far behind him the region of error, ignorance, and strife, and that he was established in the awareness of that which is life's supreme emergent value. When he looked back upon his arduous quest, he could truly say that in the grand affirmation of Brahma as bliss absolute, the residual values of whatever he had negated had also a place. If An is Brahma, then Annada is also Brahma. In reality, there is nothing that is outside Brahma. It was thus by following the path of negation and later on by negating that negation that Bhrigu attained the realization of in infinite. So he got realization. So my dear friends, here ends this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friends. Namaskar.